Hello once again. Today our lesson is going to be on the elimination method for solving systems of equations. So you can see to the right there in red we have a system of equations. What we're looking for is the one and only one answer that will work in both equations at the same time. So what we can do is we can add or subtract the equations in an effort to eliminate one variable. Now, if you don't understand why we're allowed to add and subtract equations together, maybe it makes more sense if you think about it like money. Let's say that with money that you have 4 dimes and 2 nickels. Well, if you have 4 dimes, that's 40 cents. 2 nickels, that's 10 more cents, it's 50 cents. 4 dimes and 2 nickels equals 50 cents. Well, if you have another one that says, how about you now have 3 dimes and 4 nickels? Well, that's a bad example. 3 dimes and let's go with 5 nickels. Well, 3 dimes is 30 cents, 5 nickels is 25, add them together, that's 55 cents. Well, if we add these equations together, that means kind of taking your money, the top row, and my money, the bottom row, add them together, then we got 7 dimes, 7 nickels between us, and then 50 and 55 should equal 105. That new sentence should be true. Well, 7 dimes is 70 cents, and 7 nickels, well, 7 times 5 is 35, and wait, that does equal 105. So when you add an equation to another equation, you combine the like terms in doing so, you should get a resulting new third equation that's also true. Different, but true. And that's the idea. That's what you're using here. We're going to add or subtract the equations to each other, and we'll get a third new equation. Well, that third new equation, if we do this right, should have only one letter in it instead of 2. That's the goal. Go from having 2 letters in one problem to having just 1 letter. So again, we got 2x plus 3y, that's 2 letters. That's harder to find. There's infinite answers. 4x minus 3y equals negative 20. Again, infinite answers. So what we're going to do is we're going to add them together or subtract them. So what we're looking for is one of the variable pairs to have the same coefficient. In this case, 3 and negative 3. All right, same number. If they're 1 plus and 1 minus, then we'll add them together because that'll make a 0. If they're both plus or both minus, they're the same sign, then we'll have to do a subtraction problem instead. But since there's 1 plus and 1 minus here, I'm going to add them. We'll do a subtraction one later on. So when I add them, add the like terms. 2x plus 4x, 3y minus 3y, that's what cancels. And then 8 minus 20 makes negative 12. That's our first step. Add them together in an effort to get one of the variables to eliminate. Now, step 2, solve the new equation. Should be just a quick one-stepper. And I'm going to get negative 2, and that would be, again, part of my final answer in this problem. The x-coordinate, a negative 2. Now I want to go back and find the y-coordinate. So that means step 3. Substitute the answer we just got, x equals negative 2, into either original equation and solve. So you get to pick whichever one of the 2 original equations looks like easier to do work for you. I picked the top one. The reason I pick it is because it doesn't have any negatives. And I'm going to replace the x with negative 2. So 2x plus 3y equals 8. And solve it. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And then I'll have to add 4 on both sides. Get 3y equals 12. And when I divide both sides by 3, I end up with y equals 4. And there's the second part of my answer. So again, an alternate method. We've already learned graphing. We reviewed graphing. We reviewed substitution method. And now we're reviewing elimination method. So let's try a few more examples. Make sure everyone understands. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is we're going to figure out if we have a variable that will cancel, and I can see it right here. The 5x minus 5x is already ready to go. It's going to cancel out right away. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these problems together. So add all the columns. 5x plus negative 5x, that cancels. Negative 4y plus negative 1y makes negative 5y. And 21 plus negative 26 makes negative 5. Now solve that. Divide both sides by negative 5. And we get an answer of y equals to 1. So again, our final answer has a y-coordinate of 1. Now, to find the x-coordinate, we get to go back and pick whichever one of those equations looks easier. I picked the top one because it has way fewer negative signs. That's where I make mistakes, or negative signs. Most of you are the same way, so why not, pick the one that has fewer of them? And again, replace the y with 1, because that's what we just found a moment ago. Y equals 1. Now solve that. Well, negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Now I'll split it down the middle. I'll add 4 on both sides. 4 minus 4 cancels, and over here I got 25. Divide both sides by 5. Oh, there's my second half of my answer. X equals 5. So that's adding. We did 2 of those now. Let's try one where it is subtraction. Now, how do I know it's subtraction? It's because these two terms here, if I add them, they won't make 0. 4 plus 4 won't make 0. But 4 minus 4 will. So that's how I know it's subtraction. The letter that has the matching number was too close to matching, and I needed to subtract them, not add them. All right, so it means I need to minus all of these columns. So the first column here, I'm going to minus 4 minus 4, and that cancels out. The next column, I also need to minus. Negative 6 minus positive 2 makes negative 8. Now this column, again, I have to minus. Negative 6 minus negative 14. And if you have to write that out, negative 6 minus negative 14, you'll remember that those two minus signs act like a plus, and that's where I'm getting 8 and not 20. Yep. Now solve. Divide both sides by negative 8. Y equals negative 1, so my final answer has a y coordinate of negative 1. I'm just going to go find the x coordinate. So that means go back to the original 2 problems and pick whichever one looks easier. Again, it doesn't matter. You can't choose wrong. Both of them will give you the same answer. So if you choose to pick the 4x minus 6y equals negative 6 one, and you replace the y with a negative 1, let's see what we get. Multiply out your parentheses first. Negative 6 times negative 1 makes positive 6. And now minus 6 on both sides. 4x equals negative 12. And then divide both sides by 4, and I got x equals negative 3. But like I said, you could have picked the other one. You could have picked the 4x plus 2y equals negative 14 problem, and replace the y with the same number, the negative 1. 2 times negative 1 would just make negative 2. Then you'd add 2 on both sides and get negative 12. And then you'd divide both sides by 4, and you'd get the same negative 3 answer that we got earlier. So again, it doesn't matter which one you pick. You just pick whichever one looks easier to you. You will get the same correct answer no matter which one you do, as long as you do your math right. Okay, I think that is about enough for today. Good luck today, and let me know if you need any help.